Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss sale on approval and sale or return. Now under the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, all sales are final by default. This means what? This means that the goods, once they are exchanged, the buyer cannot return them or reject the goods, and the seller cannot demand them back unless there's a specific agreement that allows for such actions. So generally speaking, when you purchase something, that's it. That's a final sale. Now, can you return an item if you're not satisfied? Yes. As a courtesy, as a business practice, the business will return it for you. But generally speaking, once a sale is made, it's assumed to be final. Now, can the seller ask you back for the items? Of course, they cannot. Now, parties can override this default rule by mutual agreement. Simply put, the buyer and the seller can agree to do something else. This could be through specific terms in the contract, such as sale on approval or sale or return. And this is what we need to discuss in this session. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today. What is sale on approval? In sale on approval, the transaction isn't final until the buyer approves the item. What the best example is when the seller offers a free trial. What's a free trial? It means you can try the product, you can try the computer, the laptop, the mattress, the car for a few days, and you can make a decision. But you have few days to do it. During this period, here you have to understand, the title and the risk of loss remain with the seller. Simply put, the item, the mattress, the car, whatever you are giving as a free trial, it's still the ownership. The title and the risk of the loss remain with the seller. The buyer's approval finalizes the sale. What does that mean? It means once the buyer says, yes, I would like to keep this, the free trial is over, then we have a final sale. So the buyer says, yes, I want to keep this. How you want to keep this? You keep it over 7 days. You accept it. Automatically you accept. An example of sale approval. Sarah orders a custom-made guitar from music store. The stores agree that Sarah can have the guitar for 14 days to try it out. If she's not satisfied within 14 days, she can return it. Well, during those 14 days, anything that happens to the guitar, well, the music store still bears the risk. Now, Sarah, obviously, she will have to, to handle it with due care. But the point is, from a legal perspective, they still have the risk of the loss. Now, the sale is finally finalized when Sarah decides to keep the guitar. When does she decide to keep the guitar? After the 14-day period, because she can return it anytime. After those 14 days, the sale becomes final. We also have sale or return. This is a transaction where the sale is considered complete upon delivery, but the buyer has the option to return the goods. Well, I hope you heard of this, maybe yes, maybe no. It's sale on consignment or consignment sale. What does that mean? You have some product, you walk into the store and you say, look, would you mind placing those items on your shelves? If they don't sell, you can return them back to me. Simply put, those are called sales on consignment. We have a consignor, which is the person with the product, and the consignee is the store. The consignee is the store that's holding the product. So what you do is you give them the product. You would say, I'm going to place the product on your shelf. Now, bear in mind, for example, a good example will be PepsiCo company, having product at Walmart, the supermarket, the superstore. So PepsiCo, they place the product on their shelves, on Walmart shelves. Here, the risk of losses passes to Walmart once the delivery is complete, and it remains with Walmart until the goods are returned. So once, let's assume PepsiCo, that Walmart did not sell it, then they would return it back to PepsiCo. Well, once they return it back, guess what? The risk of loss goes back to PepsiCo. So Walmart will have to kind of make sure they're taking care of the product inside their store because the risk of loss is on them. Now, why would Walmart agree to such an agreement? It's because when they sell the product, they get a commission. That's why they do it. And it's a good deal because you don't have to invest any money to obtain the product. Basically, you are giving the product, in quote, for free. You only take a profit when it's sold. If it's not sold, you are not risking any investment. Let's take a look at this example. Emily, a bookshop owner, purchases 50 art books from a publisher. The agreements state that Emily can return any unsold book after 60 days. This is a sale or return contract. What does that mean? If during those 60 days, some of the books are damaged in Emily's store due to water leak, Emily bears the loss. So you have to be careful here. She's responsible for the books until any unsold copies are returned back to the publishers. Once they are returned back to the publishers, they go back, the risk of loss goes back to the publisher. Let's talk about the title. In the context of sales under the UCC, the passage of the title from the seller to the buyer is contingent on several factors, and it's essential to understand these factors in order to determine when the title actually transfers. So here's what you need to know about the title. Okay? 1. Before a title can pass, the goods must be specifically identified to the contract. So we have to have the goods identified. Which goods are we selling? They have to be identified. If there is an agreement on title passage, if there is an explicit agreement between the parties about when the title will pass, great. This agreement will prevail. So we know when the title passes based on the agreement. It's when I deliver the product to you. It's when you sell them. There's an agreement. Absence of an agreement. If there's no agreement, this is when the title passes. Title passes when the seller fulfilled their delivery obligation. It's the point of delivery. Well, and this varies depending on the terms of the contract. Now, how about rejection of goods? If the buyer rejects the goods, rightfully or wrongfully, the title reverts back to the seller. So once they reject the goods, I don't want it, it goes back to the seller. This is true even if the risk of loss remain with the seller in case of a non-conforming goods. Just know these rules. Let's take a look at an example. Lisa agrees to buy 50 office chairs from Greg with the delivery terms FOB, free on board, Greg's warehouse. What does that mean? It means once Greg's gives those chairs to the common carrier, if there's a common carrier, or once Lisa picks them up, it's Lisa's risk of loss. In this case, the title of the chair passes to Lisa when the chairs are handed over to the carrier at Greg's warehouse, to the truck. Once they are put on the truck at Greg's warehouse, that's it. It's Lisa's risk of loss. At this point, Greg's complete the delivery obligation. On the other hand, if the delivery of the terms were FOB Lisa's office, it's FOB destination. Now the title would transfer to Lisa only when the chairs are delivered to her office. This distinction is crucial in understanding when the ownership of the goods legally shift from the seller to the buyer under different delivery terms. So make sure you are familiar with FOB shipping, FOB destination. We covered those in the prior session. This topic is heavily tested. Let's take a look at a few summaries here, including this session and the prior session. Title versus risk of loss. The transfer of risk of loss from the seller to the buyer does not depend who holds the title. Make sure you're aware of this. In a non-carrier cases, it means you have no, UPS, a third party involved. If the seller is a non-merchant, so you're buying from your neighbor, the risk of loss shifts to the buyer when the seller makes the goods available, tenders the delivery. And you remember in the prior recording, we said Steve, as your neighbor, agreed to sell you their laptop. Once they tell you the laptop is ready to be picked up, it becomes your risk of loss. If the seller is a merchant, the risk of loss transfers to the buyer only when the buyer actually take possession of the goods. So if the seller is a merchant, Best Buy, office supplies, you have to go over there and pick up the item. This is where the risk of loss is transferred to you. This is assuming no carrier, non-common carrier. If there's a common carrier, means there is the delivery. All depends on the terms. If it's shipping contract, FOB selling location, it means once the items leaves the seller, the risk of losses moves to the buyer once the seller delivered the goods to the carrier. So once the UPS truck backs into the seller's business place, the employees at the seller's place put the inventory on the truck, basically it becomes the risk of loss transferred to the buyer if it's shipping contract. If it's a destination contract, FOB the buyer's location, FOB destination, the risk of loss transfers to the buyer when the UPS trucks drives all the way to the buyer's location and tenders the delivery, offer the product to them. This is when the risk of loss transfer. Non-conforming goods. Remember, if the goods do not meet contract specification, the risk of loss remains with the seller regardless of the shipping terms. And this is a summary of what we learned in the prior session. Let's take a look at this multiple choice questions from Farhat lectures. In a non-carrier cases, simply put, what does it mean? It means we are not using a transportation party. When does the risk of loss pass to the buyer if the seller is a merchant? If the seller is a merchant, like a Best Buy. When the seller ships the goods, we're talking about non-carrier, there's no shipping here. When the buyer takes physical possession, see, this looks good. So when the buyer goes over to the store and pick up the goods, they pay for it and they pick it up. This is a good answer, but let's look at the other choices. Immediately after the sale agreement, not if you don't take physical possession. Immediately after the sale agreement, if we're dealing with non-merchant. Under non-merchant, once they agree, they would say, okay, you can have them, then the risk of loss is yours. When the goods are produced? No, not when the goods are produced. The answer is B, when the buyer takes physical possession. Remember, we're dealing non-carrier, the person walking into the store, and the store is a business, What should you do now? You want to go to Farhat lectures, look at additional MCQs. That's going to help you understand these topics better. Whether you're preparing for your CPA exam, you're taking a business law course, invest in yourself, good luck, study hard, and of course, stay